Alright. Started streaming. Now I just need to check the audio because I am not sure how loud this is. And I want to make sure that I'm matching the typical volume. Alright. I think I am. So, hello, anyone watching the VOD or the stream. Nobody's watching the stream at this moment, of course. Yeah, I am, as the title says, I too, like many of the people in the community, I'm kind of fed up with 343's sad attempts at making Halo, and I am going to switch to focusing on making my own, and of course when I feel like playing a Halo game that is already made, I'll most likely be primarily resorting to this one and the Master Chief Collection, custom games specifically for Master Chief Collection. Like a lot of people already have kind of given up on Infinite, but I stuck with it for a while. I've been holding on to hope that they would, that it would get better. And the latest thing, just the whole combination of everything just has me just done with them. The fact that we're going to have to wait another, what was it, like 2 months before they actually do anything really significant again in Infinite, in addition to sorry, I'm having trouble formulating sentences while doing stuff at the moment. Basically, I'm just tired of how awful they are at just kind of lining this whole thing up. Basically, there seems to be either they're way too lazy or they're way too, they did a bad job at programming. That it's pretty stupid how long every little thing takes to be changed. They should be able to do a lot of minor fixes and stuff without having to take an entire month or two just to do simple things like adjusting what was it? Changing some weapons on a map, or sorry, I don't know why I am struggling to find words so much, but it has been a long time since I streamed. But I mean, I had these thoughts pretty well formulated moments ago, and now I don't. Basically, yeah, the way 343 is handling everything and taking an eternity to change anything about their live service Halo is one thing, but that's not new. That's been normal for a while now. What has been the final straw for me, because I wasn't surprised about how long it was going to be before our next update. What really killed it for me and ended my faith in 343 was that they also continued to have the air of arrogance, as if the fans don't know what we want, and that they know oh so much better than us about what is Halo and what we want in a Halo game. That was the last straw. They have no idea what Halo means, like what Halo is about, what the core of, like, why do people play Halo? They have no idea. They think they have an idea, but it's so far off, it's just shameful. They even went so far as to say, since Halo Combat Evolved, that it's been a competitive game. I mean, have you even... If you forget about the current settings, Master Chief Collection settings for Combat Evolved for a sec, and think about what it was like actually playing Combat Evolved back when it was the game, when it was the one and only Halo game. It was nothing like how it is now in Master Chief Collection. You didn't start with an assault rifle and a Magnum. It wasn't just some crazy Magnum fest. I mean, maybe multiplayer servers did have that kind of a thing at some point, but the default in local play was plasma pistol starts. Not AR, not Magnum. It was plasma pistol starts. Literally the most chill it could possibly be. Now, multiplayer stuff, of course, wouldn't be done that way, and that might not be the common way that people played, but it's just they insist constantly that Halo is some massive competitive experience, but it never was. That never was what made Halo Halo, and that was never the bulk of players' experience with Halo. Most players were in for the party game sort of aesthetic. Like, it was literally, that was the point, was, you know, to emulate the same kind of experience one might have if they're like, hey, let's get together and play Super Smash Bros, or, you know, stuff like that, where it's a party game. Everybody get together, sit on the couch, play this game together. Believe it or not, Super Smash Bros is very popular for the same kind of thing, like couch co-op, or not co-op, but, you know, sitting on a couch with your buddies, playing the party game together. Still exists. Still very much a modern and perfectly valid thing. So I don't know why they get the idea that that's unachievable either. But like, they just continue to push that away and continue to insist that the core of Halo, the thing that makes Halo Halo, is this super competitive, super tense, super gritty, and all this crazy stuff, and they just keep pushing Halo further and further away from what it is. So it's just, I'm done. I can't accept the 343's whole thing anymore. It's just, I can't do it. It's dumb. I am not in favor of what they're doing at all. So I've opted to make my own, because I mean, I already was planning on doing that. I don't know if there any VODs of this stream that I had done before on my channel, or if it was, but I have mentioned in a past stream or two that I'm planning on making, I've been planning on making my own Halo game for a while, but I only really kind of goofed around with the idea prior. I didn't actually fully like work on it. Now I'm gonna actually make it now, because it's just, there's no, what I am playing right now is the only Halo experience, only legitimate, like, yeah, I'm having hard times communicating stuff, but this game is a little bit more noisy and busy than my brain really wants it to be. But this is the best Halo experience that's currently available aside from Master Chief Collection custom games, which, you know, it's cool. I'm a big fan of Delta Ring here. It's really awesome how well they were able to get this thing to feel and play like Halo. But, you know, I've got a lot of ideas, a lot of things I want to see in Halo. And clearly, they're only ever going to see reality if I make it. I'm already into game development. I'm very familiar with Unreal Engine now, so I think, well, this should be interesting. I'll just put it that way. It's not, got it. Oh. Friendly fire is off. But yeah, so basically, yep, starting from this day forward, when I feel like playing Halo, I'm just gonna work on, either I'm gonna play this or I'm gonna work on making my own, because Infinite, I almost uninstalled it at this point. Like, I didn't, because there are some cool things in Halo Infinite that I do want to carry over into my game, but that is the only reason I have chosen not to uninstall it from my Xbox, because I have given up on its potential to be good. It's just, yeah, it's eventually going to be a good game in 10 years if they even supported this that long, which they probably won't, because they're hemorrhaging players, and I've always been, well, not always, but since I discovered Halo, I've been pretty much obsessed with it, and if they were able to lose me, to get me to stop playing, their chances of maintaining a decent player base, oh my goodness, stop pushing me, dude. I almost... but yeah, if they screwed up so badly to lose me, they definitely are not going to have very many players left. Especially considering I know a lot of people, including myself, but a lot of people can't even play the game properly because their desync issues are so horrible. But yeah, so only a small amount of players are actually going to enjoy playing it, and if no one's there to play it, then there's no, like, they're gonna struggle to find matches more so than they already do. So yeah, it's looking bad, but I'm going to make something that hopefully will be good. I'm gonna make sure right off the bat that the split screen and multiplayer are functioning nice and clean, because the last thing I want to do is make the same mistakes they're making and create a game that only functions in their builds, and then as soon as it becomes public is not even remotely functional. Which, I mean, it's still gonna have some problems like that. I can guarantee that my own testing by myself, because that's the thing, is I'm gonna be making this by myself. If I end up getting people's help on it, I will definitely be crediting them, so should anyone ever be added to the project, that will be appropriately mentioned. I'm not trying to make it solo purely to prove a point, though. I definitely, if it is turning out really, really well, and I am the only person to have worked on it, I will definitely be pointing that out to people, like, hey, this is how bad 343 is messing up. But, you know, it's too soon right now to say anything like that. It's not really existent yet, though this game is a very, very good example of that, you know, we're currently playing it right here. Currently demonstrating that, you know, fan projects are starting to be more Halo than the company that's actually got the rights to it. It's dumb that they let it go this far. I'm gonna die. Yep. So that's why, yeah, fans are taking it into our own hands, and yeah, it's just, they need to either get their act together right away, or they're gonna be just continue to be a laughingstock. It's like it almost seems like they've intentionally, like, obviously they didn't, but it almost looks like they intentionally made Halo Infinite bad, like have all these problems, so they could continue to rub the excuse in our faces of, like, the classic Halo experience isn't suitable for modern, you know, as if that's an actual, like, valid excuse. Because, like, okay, they've been saying that for a long time. Well, that was weird. They didn't even get close to me. But yeah, not only did they make that claim while never even giving it a chance, but now that they have given it a chance to be classic, they didn't give it enough effort to have a chance. So it's like, of course they're going to continue to assume, unless they get off their high horse and actually pay attention to what's going on, they're going to continue to assume that we have no idea what's actually good for Halo, and that they do, and that it involves it being some sweat fest. Because that's what they think Halo needs to be, and they are doing everything they can to make sure that that is what it is. Hopefully, my game turns out well. Obviously, my own life is not... I'm not a... Whoa, that was funny. I'm not a professional, and I can't accept payment for working on this thing, so obviously I am definitely going to be having some delays in my own ability to... I can't just make it without, like, stopping. I have my own life I have to live, so who knows how long it's gonna take, but it's not gonna take as long as Infinite is. I can assure you of that. The very base form, the very, you know, like with this Roblox Halo thing, it very effectively captures the essence that is Halo without, you know, it's very simple, but it does it. It does the job. A lot of people, such as myself, can enjoy Halo thanks to this. But, yeah, I mean, basically, I'm gonna start off by just trying to make Combat Evolved, but, you know, my own multiplayer, my own, you know, it's hard to explain, especially because lately I've been finding words hard to find in the first place. It's been a while since I recorded or streamed, or really even talked very much. I do a lot of quick and short chats, but not a lot of just long monologue-ish talking, so been a bit since I did this, and I'm definitely rusty. But my vision for my Halo game, the thing I'm going to strive to achieve, is to start off by just basically making a streamlined Combat Evolved with some more of the later Halo features, such as equipment and hijacking and infection is definitely one of the things that I intend to make sure is there. Bots is another thing, more complete customization and such. That's the goal, for starters. And moving forward from there, I'll continue to add features that will get it closer and closer to the complete vision that I have, which is quite ambitious, quite big, which is part of the reason why I'm trying to shrink it down to Combat Evolved. Just for starters, Combat Evolved. And Combat Evolved, as amazing and groundbreaking of a game as that is, for someone nowadays using something like Unreal Engine and it's actually, the game itself is actually incredibly simple. Combat Evolved's gameplay mechanics and all of that. Very, very simple. The essence of Halo, not that complex. Now, there are definitely a lot of things that do complicate it, such as multiplayer and co-op, and if I want to actually have something like a campaign and a good matchmaking system and fair gameplay and all that kind of stuff, obviously there's going to be a bunch of things to do. But overall, comparatively to other games, Halo, Combat Evolved, and just Halo as a whole, not that complex of mechanics, not that complex of a game. Pretty simple. So theoretically, once I actually get once I get started and get those mechanics going, it's going to be pretty easy to get to a good point pretty fast. It's just I have the initial challenge of trying to get it set up so that I can what am I saying? The challenge initially would just be setting it up so that it will properly network and have split screen functioning. Like, I've never done a split screen game yet, and I've barely scratched the surface of multiplayer, so sorry, burping. So in terms of experience with game development, that is definitely one of the bigger hurdles for me, is trying to get it to actually basically trying to get the multiplayer started. That's the biggest hurdle at the beginning that I'll have to worry about. The core mechanics themselves, very easy, very simple. I just took an inferior shotgun against a superior shotgun. Balancing, there is going to be some degree of balancing that I will have to do, but like with this game, a point that I have always tried to make, and of course 343 never considers it because they are purely focused on making an MLG game, is that Halo, one of the beautiful things about it is you don't actually need it to be perfectly balanced in every conceivable way. That's kind of the point of the game, is not being perfectly balanced in every conceivable way. Because if it was perfectly balanced, what's the point of picking up a new gun? If everything has the same time to kill and all of that, basically all it becomes is what do you like your gun looking like and firing like? Not a matter of, oh, I'm trying to go get a battle rifle because it's a good weapon. In 343's vision of Halo, no, you're going for the battle rifle because it's the cool gun from Halo 2. Which is just dumb. It's it's just not the way that that Halo works. They don't seem to understand, sadly, but once I get going, it'll be pretty quick and easy to start doing stuff. I know there are currently two other Halo fan games that are in progress. but I don't... The last time I checked on them, they were either not finished or not, like, playable yet, or still very, very early accessy. Which isn't a problem, I understand that, except there's pros and cons to being an indie developer, and if you treat yourself like a AAA company while you're an indie developer, that's just not going to work very well. And I think that's kind of the issue that we're seeing with a lot of the current Halo fan games, is that currently they're treating themselves like they are an actual AAA company, and like the AAA way of doing things is not the best most efficient system. Not at all, not by a long shot. Goodness, I don't know why I can't talk right now, but I'm gonna keep trying. There's a lot of problems with the AAA workflow, primarily having to do with the fact that basically, how shall I say this? The more people you have, the more valid it is. But if you attempt to have everyone individually everybody individually like responsible for a specific, how am I trying to say this? I don't want to accidentally say something. I'm really like detached from everything right now, so I don't want to accidentally say the opposite of what I'm trying to, because of the fact that I am distracted. Great. Where's my team? I guess I've got 2 teammates and do not have an overshield. Do I even have 2 teammates? It looks like I only have 1. Who's this? What's up with this green arrow? That's the spawn. I only have 1 teammate. Wait. Okay. Oh. Ignoring the game, the status of the game right now. Isn't that interesting? This game does not have aim assist, and while that does sometimes cause struggles, it actually helps me most of the time. I have a harder time being precise in the actual Halo games than I do in this one half the time. Like, it's still not... Sorry, dude. Network problems suck. But yeah, what was I saying? What was I saying? I actually don't know. Yeah. Where's the spanker? Give me the spanker, yeah. Alright. Oh look, it's a dude with a flag. Nom. Get this thing reloaded before another enemy comes. Cool. But yeah, so yeah, right, I was talking about the indie developers and the problem with a lot of that kind of stuff. So I see a lot of these indie companies or these indie projects being handled as if they are AAA. And right, that's where I had gotten in what I was saying, and then I forgot how to speak and forgot what I was saying and completely lost track. Okay, right. Caught back up. Basically, the issue is that AAA companies, they basically... It's been a long time since I was actually learning from people who were in AAA industry stuff talk about their workflow, so I've mostly forgotten a lot of the problems with them. But the thing is, with an indie studio or a small team, you have a benefit where everyone working on the project can see the big picture. Indie, yeah. That's one of the benefits of that's one of the benefits of being in an indie setup instead of a AAA group, because like the AAA studios and all that stuff, their entire structure is built around the concept of having massive teams full of like hundreds of programmers, artists, all these different roles. But if you are split up like that, or like if you don't have that size of a team, it's not good to just have it be as blank as that. And by blank, I guess what I'm trying to say is ambiguous, I guess. Basically, if everyone is more or less in the dark and they're just kind of making what the person in charge says they're making, there's a lot of disconnect there where it works great for small projects, or if you've got a massive team working on, a massive project. But you can't just hope to actually achieve something great with a tiny team of people who have no idea what the guy to the left of them is working on. Or in other words, the benefit of an indie team basically is just that if you all know what you're working on, then you all can work together basically and tie everything together. And that's, I think, the biggest problem right now with all of these things, is they're just inefficient because they're not well coordinated. I don't know. I'm a lot more tired and struggling a lot more than I anticipated. I probably wouldn't have made this live stream be a thing if I had realized just how uncoordinated I would be. But yeah. What am I saying? Yeah, so I fully intend to take advantage of the fact that I know what I'm doing, which I clearly don't exude that right now. I've been rambling and struggling to convey the most basic of thoughts, so I probably seem quite incompetent or incapable of achieving something so great as actually making a successful Halo game. But I assure you, I do know a thing or two about this. I am just very, very uncoordinated at the moment. Myself. So, yeah. I don't have any grenades. The thing I said earlier is exposing just how bad of an aim I was in the actual Halo. Yeah, no. Basically, I guess part of the problem that I'm running into right now is I'm trying to make a point, but I'm also trying to play a game and just not being able to decide or remember what my point was. Aside from, I'm making a Halo game, and 343 has made their last mistake for me. Right, okay, now I'm getting somewhere. I'm remembering what I was going to talk about. So, I know a lot of people are going to be retreating to Master Chief Collection after this whole fiasco. But there's a reason why I am not. And that's primarily that 343's ruined Master Chief Collection for me as well. Because I don't know if you've noticed, particularly because you could be any number of people in any number of experiences and ages and stuff, but the way MCC is currently set up is not remotely capturing what the Halo games were. Goodness. Prior to being added to MCC. They're a very, very poor representation of the games. In custom games, you can recreate what that experience was like. You just have to get people into your lobby and stuff. And even then, like, all the extra social stuff is kind of lost. Not completely, but, you know. Using the custom games browser is, in fact, different from matchmaking. But there are a lot of things that they are missing, particularly they did this stupid thing. They made this really, really dumb decision. They were proud of it too. They announced it with pride for some reason when around the time they first switched or like added MCC to PC. That they added Reach to PC, and they gleefully decided that the maps that got the least playtime, the least use in multiplayer, those would become... they'd give those ones a chance. They would give those ones a chance by making those the more common ones. So basically the idea was, what was the least popular map? Okay, that one will be the most common map. Basically, it's like a screwed up version of the rarity thing, where it's like you gotta get lucky to... you can get lucky and get a good map, or you can just play on all their less enjoyable ones. But like the reasoning of it was that the problem is they thought that they were doing the maps, like doing people a favor, that people didn't get to play on those maps even though they were so great, and all, yada yada yada. People didn't want to play on those maps. That's the reason they never played them. That was back when you actually could choose what map you wanted to play on, more or less. You could choose not to play a map, I should say. But no, they interpreted that as these maps didn't get a chance, not that we didn't want to play them. And they said that for Reach, but they did that for more than just Reach. If you actually play, you'll find this is very much the case. You are most likely going to be playing, if you're playing on Halo 3, you're most likely going to be playing a forged map, not a... Yeah, you're more likely to be playing on a forged map than any of the base maps in Master Chief Collection's multiplayer. And it's not just that, it's also the DLC maps. But the thing is that, like, going on there, and maybe I'm just unlucky, but whenever I go on there and try to play, I never get the pit, I never get Guardian when I'm playing on Halo 3's, like trying to play Halo 3. Never get the pit, never get Guardian, never get High Ground. The maps that I always enjoyed playing on, and some that I didn't, but I only stopped enjoying playing on them because the maps were overplayed. Like, that's the thing, yes, that's very much a thing. Play on a map for 5 matches in a row, you get sick of them. But you don't typically want to play the same map again after that. Of course, give or take, because different people have different attention spans and whatnot. But the point being that it's, I don't know, this guy's distracting me. Yeah, the point is that the maps that I want to play on, the maps that I have memories playing on, I never get to play them. Some of that might just be bad luck. I know it's quite common in the Master Chief, or not in Master Chief Collection, but in Infinite, I would almost always, like, if I tried to play the SWAT, Tactical Slayer, I guess they called it. If I wanted to play Tactical Slayer, they... yeah, I couldn't, because... or not I couldn't, but... Sorry, I lost my train of thought because that was an awkward situation. Whenever I would play that, I would usually end up with the stupid stalker rifle version. Figures their flag gets returned right as I'm dying. Oh, lovely. Basically, yeah, I'd get Stalker Tactical Slayer every time. Like, seriously, 5 times out of 5, like, I rarely ever got to play any version of Tactical Slayer at all. It was mostly just Stalkers, which I hate the Stalker rifle. I don't like it. I can't. It's like everything I liked about the DMR and Carbine isn't there, and everything I didn't like about them is all that the weapon is. Or I should say, the things I didn't like about the needle rifle as a replacement for the carbine is in essence what they made that weapon to be. So yeah, I it's entirely possible that it's just bad luck on my part, but most likely it's not just that. What, they killed the carrier? Come on, guys. But yeah, basically the whole time that I play on Master Chief Collection, I'm always too late. I'm never playing on the maps that I have memories on. I'm never playing on, like, playing the modes that I like to play, because they tweak everything. 343 has tweaked everything in the Master Chief Collection to be more competitive, more unfamiliar, and more good gracious, how did that guy have a sword too? Why were there two of them with a sword? So, for example, Infection. If you get on Infection, queue up for Infection in Master Chief Collection, can guarantee you're not going to get, let's say you're queued up for Halo Reach Infection. So the main, like, I'm pretty sure that was kind of the point when Infection became more mainstream. Like, I know it was in Halo 3, but I think it was the most popular in Halo Reach. I can guarantee you're never going to play anything that you played during the first 3 years of Reach, Infection-wise. You're just going to continually get either weird Infection modes, weird, like, variations, which I don't have a problem with those existing. Don't get me wrong. That's cool and all. But sometimes I just want to play Infection. And if I'm not going to get any choice of which one I'm going to, like, what kind of map or mode I'm going to play on, at the very least they could do the favor of, actually putting in the modes and maps that people want to play. But that's the thing, the maps is the other part. They have these modes, and there is a classic mode, classic-ish mode in there, somewhere halfway through Reach's lifespan. They switched off of giving zombies evade to giving zombies the sprint modules. I really hate that change they made, but it was a change that did happen in the actual Halo Reach, and that is in Master Chief Collection, that mode. But they've forged all of the maps. Now here's the thing. When Infection was created in Halo 3, Infection became a mode. What ended up happening is another mode got created because of it in custom games. And that mode is the it's Duck Hunt. Now, what 343 has done is they have made it so that every session of Halo of Infection and Halo Master Chief Collection multiplayer is just Duck Hunt. Not exactly, because I mean, it's obviously not the same thing, but ultimately, what are you actually playing in Infection? Go and play it on Master Chief Collection, and what is the core gameplay of it? I can guarantee what you'll find is the core gameplay ultimately amounts to, if you're a survivor, hide in a corner and shoot every single zombie that comes by you in the head. Or if they get close enough, maybe your shotgun will take them out. But for the most part, just hide in a corner and just shoot. That is what it is to be a survivor in Master Chief Collection's Infection. Or if you are a zombie, the whole game is just run haphazardly at the enemies and hope that maybe you don't die this time. Now, Infection, when it became popular, Infection, that was not Infection. The maps were not changed. They were completely base maps. Nothing special. No Forge involved. Well, unless it was like the Reaches Forged maps or something. But the whole Infection experience was always done on the normal arena maps, not Forged, which meant that there was constantly, no matter where you as a survivor went, you always had, there were always ways that the zombies could come behind you. So that was the whole, balance. You could have your whole dynamic of, camp and shoot, but that wouldn't save you 100% of the time. That wasn't a guaranteed survival until eventually the entire lobby is chasing you down. No, it was just, until some people started to flank you. You could die to 3 zombies if they all happened to choose to fight you, because one would come up behind you. Why does that matter? Why isn't it, why don't I think it's better for it to be more like how it was than how it is now? Because it's no fun to play as a zombie if all you're going to do is run in vain the entire time. Might as well just make a mode that's called Race, or called Hurdles or something. That's an idea. 343 would probably love this game mode. Hurdles. Basically just a endless straight pathway that you're just running down, and if you run into a hurdle, then you die. And you have to start over. It's basically what being a zombie is. It's a big mess of debris and junk all over the floors that keep you from being able to move easily. And then, you get shot, and you're just running and getting shot, running and getting shot. It's not what Infection was, but that's what Infection is now. And it's no fun to be a zombie. And then, I guess people find it to be fun to be the survivors and just stand in a corner and just shoot constantly, and because I mean they do it, that's what they do. But for me personally, I don't find the arcade shooter stand in one spot and just shoot the various things that pop up on your screen to be exciting gameplay. So it becomes, Infection itself just becomes a really boring game mode for what I would believe to be most people. Because if you're infected, then you just run and die the whole time without really any reward for it, because most of the time it's, you know, complete random luck if you're gonna actually hit them or not. But yeah, I mean, some people might like that, though I think most of the time the only reason people are doing that is because that's, you know, the most effective strategy in the game mode. I mean, that's the only way to survive, is to corner yourself and, you know, deal ranged damage against... Oh, what? I hit him though. Huh. Like, that's the only way to survive, and that's the reason why the classic experience didn't allow for that. The original Infection only gained its popularity because there was actually, like, tension as a survivor. There's no tension with the current Infection, except the tension of being really frustrated as an infected person. And if, you know, it gets to the end of the round, there's the exhilaration of picking off a ton of zombies as they're trying to get to you. Like, I don't... Sorry, I'm trying to turn on my light, but then it wouldn't turn on. Apparently there's a person camping this spot. Right. But yeah. They've lost the essence of what is Infection by creating this Duck Hunt-esque experience, and that guy was just waiting to do that. Yeah, they've done that with everything. They've found a way to ruin every single mode that Halo has by just slightly twisting what it can do, like what you can do in it, to be slightly more sweaty, and also to, like, lose the whole point. Like how with big team battle in Halo Infinite. What is big team battle like in Halo Infinite? Well, it's exactly the same as Slayer normally is. Except for the fact that it's on bigger maps with bigger teams. It's just bigger Halo. That's not what it's about, though. Like, that's kind of what it is normally. But the whole idea of big team battle is basically just an excuse to use the stuff like the tanks and stuff. Like, what's so hard to understand about that? Big team battle is supposed to allow for tanks and wraiths and banshees and that kind of stuff to exist. It's not just about, oh yeah, now the team size is bigger, like, yeah, game size and map size is bigger, but it's not that big of a deal as opposed to, oh hey, here's a tank, have fun flying this, or driving this tank, or flying this jet, you know? I know it's a little weird calling a Banshee a jet, but you know. Oh goodness, that guy almost got me. I don't trust this guy to watch my back. Ah, that guy did a long range swipe. Wait, just trying to go down this thing. But yeah, like a bunch of the modes, they take what was fun about them and they drop it. They completely erase it, or they, you know, they just don't recreate it. And so I'm not going to, you know, I'm gonna make my own, and I'm gonna make it to actually be the experience that is Halo. Sorry, just checking something real quick. I want it to be a Halo game, not a miss your childhood Halo, which is what they've created. Is it looks like Halo, it kinda plays like Halo, but ultimately, what is this? It's a reminder that Halo 3 is gone. It's like, thanks. I always needed that, to be reminded that my favorite Halo games, Halo 3 and Halo Reach, have been shut down and have no population or multiplayer servers anymore, and that all that I can do is just stream. Thanks a lot, 343. But it's not actually true that all I can do is dream, because they did add a custom games browser to Master Chief Collection. So I'm going to be working on setting up a playlist for each playlist that existed in the actual Halo games. And I'm gonna try and get some sessions going that... what are they doing with that flag? What happened? They took like the longest trip to get out. But yeah, it's going to be interesting working on setting up multiplayer, especially because there is, of course, a challenge that comes from not having budget to use. Because obviously, if you're going to actually make a large-scale multiplayer game, it's a lot of servers and stuff, so most likely a lot of it is going to have to be more akin to how you know, the typical host and join servers sort of thing works, though I will try to streamline it so that it still functions like matchmaking and still does some matchmaking. It's just going to be a little different because people are going to be hosting servers instead of it being dedicated servers, basically. Hopefully, maybe you'll like actually be able to have some sort of dedicated server set up. And if I can put it on Steam, maybe that'll be the solution. I think Steam might provide some sort of thing like that, but okay. Man, that guy got away from my grenade way too fast. Yeah, I'm hesitant to talk too much about my plans for my Halo game, for multiple reasons. One of them being that, you know, I have some big ideas that I kind of want to reveal with the game, and, you know, stuff like that. But then also there's other things about the project where it's like, I want to do them, but I don't know that I want to get the impression out there that it's there if I don't know that I can do it. Though I'm pretty sure most of the stuff I know how to do and can very easily do. The biggest thing that I think is the challenge is the multiplayer and split screen stuff. Getting that set up is stuff that I haven't done, but basically everything else about Halo I have done. I have made already. I haven't released any games, but that doesn't mean I haven't made these features. I've even made like the base mechanics of Halo already, but I'm not going to be using that project because its foundation is not... goodness. Its foundation isn't based in a proper multiplayer setup, so I don't want to actually use that one. I want to start over. Are you kidding me? I literally had one job, and I could not punch him. Okay. One thing I can talk about that I would love to see other people start doing, I don't know why people don't do this in their games already. When you've got a franchise, like Halo or Battlefront, when you've got like a long-running series that's, you know, spanned several generations of technology, and it's evolved a lot over time, and it's just getting better and better. When you've got something like that, what you have there, in addition to everything that, you know, you're making in a game, you also have a history of graphics and visuals. Basically, what I'm trying to say, I've seen it happen thousands of times that goodness, my team is doing abysmally. I am not doing well either. Because I am always getting everyone one shot from death and then dying. But no. The thing I keep seeing in games is they'll make graphical settings and all that as a thing, right? Different levels of graphics. Because obviously performance is an important thing to be able to... Why can't I pick up plasma grenades? Performance is important, and some people can't play the game at max settings, right? Well, with Combat Evolved, as well as, you know, or with, not Combat Evolved, with Halo, as well as many other series like the Battlefront games and such, they had existed back when devices were weaker than current weak devices are. Which means they should just, instead of graphically doing like some ugly graphical thing like the LODs that they have in most of the games now, make them aesthetically pleasing still. Make it so that instead of just smudgy textures being like the optimizations, make it look like an older game. It's as simple as that. We've had optimized games before for lower things. Not everything has to be all smudgy and low and pixelated and ugly. You can make good looking, low poly, low graphics stuff. Goodness, this thing is not very well mapped for controller. So basically what my game is going to do is my graphics settings, my graphics settings will actually basically be era changes. So of course the lowest graphical settings will be Combat Evolved's art style and graphics, which also means that people who can play with really good graphics might actually want to play with lower graphics because it might be more what they like visually. So yeah, and then that way also, this is especially handy for me as an indie developer and, you know, a solo indie developer at that. I'm gonna start off just making the game in the Combat Evolved style. So the first release of this game that I'm going to make, that's what it'll look like. It'll look like Combat Evolved. And it's part of the reason why I'm saying I'm just gonna make Combat Evolved, basically. I do plan to make a campaign, and as soon as I can, I will try to add playable elites. I think removing them was a dumb choice that, you know, was solely rooted in the desire to make elites be brutes. And to make it more competitive. Which, here's a fun fact for you. Competitive Halo is a custom game setting thing. Halo Reach did the right thing in making it so that it could be possible to not allow people's preferred species have an influence on the game modes. Around the game. Basically, that was the solution. That was the solution to the elites are unfair thing. And 343 just completely ignored that. But the solution is just, okay, well then, simple thing, make it so that elites aren't playable in certain modes. And if they... Why are people so agile? Is that... I guess it's because they're using a mouse, isn't it? They can just whip around as much as they want. I'm impressed with how fluid everything is for some people. And I've never been able to land grenades in any of the games I don't know why grenades are such a struggle for me right now. In Infinite, in MCC, even in Destiny, I'm struggling to actually get grenades to land where I want them to. It's like they're being thrown from a different spot than I think. I used to be good at them too. Like, I'm pretty good at mapping trajectories and estimating them and stuff. But lately I've just been garbage at actually, like, knowing where it's coming from. So then I map it, but then it isn't going along that track because it's not where I think it's coming from. Strange issue. But yeah, so basically my game is... I'm gonna make sure that anytime I add a feature or change things, it's mostly going to be through the... it's mostly all going to be done through custom games. I'm going to make it so that there'll be settings in the custom games menu. So unlike 343 in their attempt to make sure that they were the only ones in control of the future of Halo, which was a stupid choice, they made the custom games settings all the very, very lackluster and empty, while meanwhile they have the ability to actually choose things like if it's free-for-all or teams or, you know, just basic stuff like that where we've always been able to choose. But instead, no. Now, free-for-all Slayer and Team Slayer are two completely separate base game modes that you have to worry about. They've taken a lot of the options and made them not options anymore. I am not going to let that be the case. Instead, everything that I do add, like, for example, playable elites, and possibly other playable, like, one thing I want to do is have playable ODSTs as a potential thing. They would be a lot more limited, kind of like Halo Reach elites, but I want that to be an option. And that's the thing, is it will be an option, not a fundamental feature. It's not like every single game is going to have ODSTs in it or anything like that. And that's, I think, what 343 doesn't understand, is the essence of Halo has always been around that. Don't like a weapon? Remove it from the map. Gee, now the map plays just fine, but it doesn't have that weapon. You didn't have to pull out the developer tools for that. It's called custom games or Forge, which I don't know how well I'll be able to redo Forge, but I think Forge won't be the hard part. I think theater is actually probably going to be the hardest thing to make. I kind of forgot about that when I was saying multiplayer was the hard part. Theater for multiplayer is probably the hard part. But it is possible that my Halo won't have theater. It depends on what I can figure out. Because I don't know if that's going to be too heavy. do that exactly. But yeah. So I'm gonna try to do Halo justice, and I'm gonna try to do it quick. I don't know what all is going on with the other Halo projects, the Halo fan games, but they're just taking too long. I know some of them are playable right now, but I haven't heard much about them. I think it was Project Contingency, a try not too long ago. I was pretty underwhelmed by it. It felt very much like they spent way too long just trying to perfect I don't know. It was just weird because it seemed like most of what they had done had been uncharacteristically small for how long they had been working on it. And I know some of it was just that models took a long time, but that's another thing that's going to be good about mine, is that models won't take too long, because the first iteration of every model and every feature in the game will start in Combat Evolved graphics and move on from there. But yeah, it's once I have split screen and online multiplayer both built and functioning, it'll be nice and quick working on the game. It'll be very, very easy to add features to a base that works. And maybe that's the essence of what's wrong with the new, or like the other fan games, is maybe their issue is just that their programmers are a little too busy, or I don't know. I just know they've taken a long time, and the core of Halo is not that complex, so I'm not sure. Like, I've already basically recreated Halo in like a day before. Granted, that was without the multiplayer parts. But the core of, yeah. I'm just gonna keep talking in circles if I don't stop myself right here. The core gameplay loop and mechanics are very, very simple. I don't know what's going on with the other fan games, but I'm not going to wait for them, just like I'm not going to wait for Halo Infinite to finally get good. I'm just going to make mine. I've always wanted to make my own Halo game. The only thing that stopped me was basically just not really feeling the need to. And hoping that maybe the next Halo game would do the thing that I wanted it to do. Clearly not happening anymore. Because even if any of these upcoming updates add something that I want, they're probably going to also screw with it to the point of it being no fun. So I'm not going to count on that. I'm just gonna finish this match and call that the end of the stream. I've been going in circles with all of this for way too long. This was not supposed to be a particularly long stream, but I ended up making it that because I ramble a lot when, Yeah, and also I failed to convey the things I was trying to convey for a while there. I think I finally started to get my head together, get my thoughts together a bit, but still a little out of sorts, and I still have that nagging feeling that I didn't say everything I wanted to say. But I think part of the reason is because I want to just talk about my game. But I think right now is not the time for that. I'll talk about my game in more depth when it exists, when the core of it is present. For now, as ambitious as I am, it is still just a dream. And the last thing I want to do is completely gush all of my ideas out onto the internet and not and say that I'm gonna do this, and this, and all this crazy stuff, and then never even achieve it or get close, because obviously not only is that just embarrassing to do, but it's also what the Halo community's already gotten. We've already had our fair share of people saying, hey, this is what this Halo game is going to be like, and then failing miserably at achieving it. So, not gonna do that. I am going to try to keep my self from making any kind of promises or anything like that, and just say I am gonna make my best attempt at recreating Combat Evolved. For some reason I can't switch weapons or fire my weapon. That's annoying. Literally like the last bit of the match and I can't even fight now. I've only just started having this bug that disables my ability to do things, and I think it's a hack. I'm not sure if it's a bug or a hack, because I don't know. It usually seems to only be if I'm fighting a particular person whenever it does happen anyway. But yeah. So that's a wrap for this. I'm going to be ending the stream now. So yeah.